here's a new one that we learned just tonight from the folks at Buchanan's. You know, if you've got those Christmas lights that you haven't gotten up into the attic yet, pull those out, and as long as they're not LED lights, all you need to do is wrap them around the plants and go ahead and plug them in and turn them on, and they generate heat, act as their own little heater for the plant, and they should last all night. So if you get those lights out, wrap them around real good and turn them on, and it's just as good as a space heater for your plants. Live in spring, I'm Jeremy Desel, 11 News. From his place at the pulpit, Father Jim can clearly see just what good donors his parishioners have been. 200 to 300 gifts on that table behind me. The catch is the thief struck during Sunday Mass. That means the doors to the cathedral were closed. Even where there are fire lines, it takes only an instant for the flames to jump from one side of the road to the other. Well, this is the central street, kind of the main promenade here in Baikonur, and nothing is easy to get to here. It is a difficult scenario to try to make your way into this city. Joel Montalbano knows all about that. You've had to put all of these trips together for several years for NASA. How difficult is it logistically to try to get everybody here and everybody situated?
Well, it's a challenge, as you guys have seen.
Learning your directions was much easier back when Dan Burbank first came to the ISS. In 1996, there were only 2 modules, this one and this one. Now, the International Space Station actually takes up nearly 2 football fields. Good morning and thanks for joining us on KHOU 11 News Saturday morning. I'm Jeremy Desel. Let's begin with a first look at our weekend weather with meteorologist Mario Gomez. Repeat of last week.
Oh gosh,
hot,
yes.
Right?
You know, we're going from week to week, it seems like.
And Jeremy, you actually went behind the fire line with crews right up next to the flames?
Yeah, we got very close back to the fire. We'll show you those pictures in just a minute, but right now we're getting some reports that there have been at least 4 people injured and taken to area hospitals as a result of this fire. What's unclear at this point is whether those folks are firefighters or civilians who may have stayed in their homes. All we know at this point is that 4 people have been transferred. We don't know the extent of those injuries, but we got inside the fire lines right around 6 o'clock and found several people who were still at their homes, at their structures, trying to protect their own lands, whether they had help or not. To the ear, it sounds like a storm, but truth is seen. Keeping up is impossible.
It just keeps jumping coming this way.
Even for the experts, what starts small takes off in seconds, pushing Forest Service crews out of this area.
So that's where we're going to focus our resources on, the structure protection. So
leaving Rick Rickett to fend for himself.
Anything you can do to just blade this line.
These flames, too much. His grader cutting his own new lines without much hope.
It's going to go over there and it's going to go around. I think they're trying to save that. This is my place. I'm just trying to keep from burning up.
Just up the road, about 400 yards, is Daryl Aiken's home.
You know, I'm just not going to leave, so I'm going to fight it out.
Not much to fight with here. That's why Michelle Bearden came back to get him.
Are you going to leave him here?
Yes, he's grown. I can't take him. I can't force him to leave.
The dogs don't have a choice.
I mean, yes, we did work hard on the house, but at the same time, I mean, you can't mess with Mother Nature.
As night falls, fire crews expect these flames to lay down, but what they will leave behind are the red-hot embers just waiting for a little wind to blow by and spark those flames yet again, without warning. So Daryl Aiken waits.
Unless it gets right here and I can't do anything about it, you know, I'll leave.
Night isn't the only thing coming. The storm is, too. Now, being so close to the fire line, it's very easy to see exactly how quickly this blaze grew. Just in the area where we were back there for about a half an hour or so, and we watched that fire blossom to seeming to be several hundred yards away from where we were and our position to literally right up against where we were standing in our area. We were in a very safe, defensible space area, kind of like a dirt pit of sorts with nothing burnable around us. So we were taking the precautions as best we could, but really to see the fire that close is very, very impressive. Back to you guys.
Jeremy, it looks like an inferno where you were standing a little bit earlier. You talked about people who were still there a few hours ago. Do you have a sense that most of the people are gone tonight?
Well, it's hard to tell because it's very sporadic. Back in the area where we were, it's not even paved roads. It's all just sort of, not even really gravel roads, just kind of dirt tracks going from building to building, structure to structure. They're all very spread out, and it's very forested in that area. We did see several folks who were at their structures, and they said they were planning to stay, but they all said that they did have. Kane, how are you? Topping the new CBS poll.
Yes, sir.
How's that? I know it's early, but is that? What are you thinking about that?
Well, what we're thinking about is the CBS poll confirms a lot of the other polls. That's the good news. But it means, thank you, but it means we got to still work hard. We're not taking anything for granted.
No slowing down doing events like this.
No slowing down.
How does this help?
This helps because it lets the people know. Thank you. It lets the people know that they are the ones that made it possible for me to get to the top of the polls, and I'm going to continue to go out and meet and talk to the people.
A lot of talk about the so-called smoking ad today. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, it's amazing. We never know what's going to stir people up, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I'm up in the polls, and so they look at an ad like that and go, well, what does this mean? All it means is, just like one of our themes in our campaign is Herman be Herman, block be block. That's my chief of staff, because I believe that the government ought to let people be people. That's the message of that ad.
Thank you very much.
Now, there certainly is plenty of buzz here, even on Rick Perry's home turf, about Herman Cain. Plenty of folks here who were in attendance tonight after this speech said that they believe that Cain can not only prevail in the primary, but that he can win in the general election. Live in Lamarck, Jeremy Desel, KHOU 11 News. In our world of tags, you may see Harry Shaw one way. He sees something else.
I'm a paratrooper. That's just the way I am. The world is a drop zone, and that's all I see.
He's seen plenty, starting with a conflict most have forgotten.
I was the most serious out of all of the injured in Grenada. I came very close to dying many times.
Even briefly listed as killed in action.
And that's 27 years ago almost.
27 years sitting.
In the end, it's technically it's easier to sit in the chair.
But this is a new beginning.
You know, it's important to me that we do this right. It's not just, I'm not just coming to work.
A team effort that comes down to one.
It's a lot like jumping out of a plane. You just got to have the courage and the faith. Paratroopers know a lot about faith. Ready?
Whenever you're ready.
To deploy. Here we go.
Stand up. That's beautiful.
Nothing fancy.
Shoulders back. Testing.
Odd sights.
No, I've never seen him upright. Never seen him standing, and it's very strange just to see him my height.
Odd sounds.
I just heard it click.
Unlimited future.
First thing that crossed my mind was that he would be able to walk me down the aisle one day.
Some work is just about pay. There's more when your job is providing hope.
The payoff for me is what we did for that man.
Motivation comes from all sorts of places. Ben Falls has only to look down.
This is basically what Mr. Shaw has. It's a microprocessor control knee.
Not a display,
which means it not only
except of hope.
And I certainly went through that in my young years.
Not just hope.
It's hard to grasp it. It's even hard to, to get to fully comprehend it now.
Promise.
Jenny wants her first dance. I've never given her that, so.
These 2 steps first.
But I'm good at hard steps. I'm good at challenges, and my biggest motivator is when somebody tells me it can't be done.
You see, Shaw is only here because he was told he could not jump at an amputee skydiving event. His stumps were too short. Not anymore.
To me, it's a means to an end.
Flying again is next. Steps before jumps. Jeremy Desel, 11 News. There is nothing more satisfying than the touch of the one you love. Unless that is a touch you haven't felt in 18 years. Then there are no words to define the feeling.
Cry, baby, cry. Your daddy's free.
Not just a daddy, now a granddad, always a son, a brother. Looks are one thing, some things you have to feel, because words fall short trying to explain.
I wish I could,
but I don't know yet. It's just still a surreal moment for me. I'm still trying to take it all in.
Taking it all in will take a while for Anthony Graves. He's become accustomed to living steps from death, as much as an innocent man can.
Hell, whatever your description of hell is, that's what it is. You don't even need to elaborate.
Hell isn't known for escapes. Anthony Graves doesn't see himself as escaping. He is simply going home.
I knew it was going to be liberty or death for me. Wasn't going to be no in between. I wasn't compromising my principles or my values. I was an innocent man, and I felt like at some point, if you're innocent, you know you're innocent, you have to stand on that.
Stand, he does. Far from alone.
Every single person who worked on this case said Anthony Graves is innocent. Everyone.
Catherine Scardino is Graves' attorney.
I'm very angry because they could have done the investigation a year ago. They could have done it in 2006 and 1994 and 1992, but nobody did any investigation in any of those times.
It was predominantly the testimony of Robert Earl Carter, also convicted of the deaths of a Somerville grandmother, her daughter, and 4 other young children in 1992 that led to Graves' conviction. Carter later said Graves was never involved, even in his final statement moments before his execution for the 6 murders in 2000. Current prosecutors came to their own conclusion.
There's no evidence. This man is not guilty.
It's a prosecutor's responsibility to make sure that they never fabricate evidence or manipulate witnesses or take advantage of victims. And unfortunately, what happened in this case is all of those things.
Siegler is referring to former DA Charles Sebesta.
She's entitled to her opinion. And I'm the first one to admit that mistakes were made. They were honest mistakes.
Sebesta still says Graves is guilty.
He has to sleep with that. He has to look at himself in the mirror. So I just have to get that to God. But I just can't give him no more of my time, more of my energy.
6,570 days worth is plenty. Now, the current prosecutors say the statute of limitations has run out to seek any misconduct charges against the former DA. Graves will only say that he is still seeking justice. You can see everything Graves had to say today at KHOU.com. Jeremy Desel, 11 News.
Probably know what we're going to show you. Another
staring at that 103 is enough for me.
Yeah, it is mesmerizing. Yep.
Mario, thank you very much. Well, new this morning, a man is dead after being shot in his home in front of his grandchildren. This happened just after midnight at a home on Anderson and Buxley in southwest Houston. Investigators say a man and his wife were watching their 3 grandchildren when a suspect came barging into their mobile home. The suspect immediately opened fire and shot the victim several times. He died at the scene. Investigators believe they know who the shooter is.
We believe the motive is to another man.
Now, the victim's wife was also shot, but she is expected to survive. None of the children were hurt. Police are still looking for the suspect. Also new this morning, an old commercial building in downtown Houston will likely have to be torn down after a massive fire. Take a look at the blaze. It started just before 11 o'clock last night in a vacant building on Main Street at Cleburne. The flames were so intense that firefighters had to pull a second alarm and eventually go into defensive mode. It took more than 85 firefighters to get the fire under control. Because of the heat, a Metro bus was brought in so that firefighters could take turns cooling off. No one was hurt, and no word yet on what may have caused the fire. Another firefighter is recovering this morning after getting a jolt. We brought you this story as breaking news last night at 10. The firefighter was one of many who responded to a fire in a mechanic shop on Lauder at Trail Quest in northeast Harris County. The fire started in a wall that had a lot of wiring and equipment, and that's where the firefighter was hurt.
We did have a firefighter.
Now, the fire marshal's office believes this started as an electrical fire. None of the cars in that shop were burned. New this morning, we're learning that Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords is finally aware exactly what happened the day that she was shot in the head. Giffords was at a public event in Tucson in January when a gunman opened fire, killing 6 people and wounding 13 others, including Giffords. She's still undergoing rehab in Houston from her brain injury. Her loved ones had been keeping the exact extent of the tragedy from her until she was strong enough to handle it. In June, she was told how many people were killed, but late last month, she was finally given their names. We're hearing from the father and son who were held at gunpoint in their own home by 3 robbers, and the victims are telling us there was some very unlikely conversations happening between them and the suspects. Here's KHOU 11 News reporter Tiffany Craig.
Actually, took my son.
Craig, KHOU 11 News.
Well, turning now to the mandatory water restrictions in Houston. Today is Saturday, which means homes with odd-numbered addresses are allowed to water their lawns. You're allowed to water between midnight and 10 o'clock this morning, and then again from 8 o'clock tonight until midnight. Homes with even-numbered addresses can water during those same times tomorrow. Well, for all you shoppers looking for a bargain, you have 2 more days to take advantage of tax-free weekend. The annual event started as a way for parents to save money on back-to-school shopping. Things like school supplies, clothes, and backpacks, they're all tax-free. And you can even save when it comes to items that are not tax-free because retailers are offering big sales. But we found one shopper at Memorial City Mall who says it's important to keep things in check so you don't defeat the purpose of saving.
Don't go hog wild. I mean, seriously, there's so much to
see the complete list of items that are tax-free and the types of items that are not, you just head to our website, khou.com. Well, now's your chance to bring home a new furry friend for free. The Houston SPCA is hosting the Cool Cat Stravaganza today. And because it's Cat Stravaganza, all cat adoptions are free. Usually, those adoptions cost $45. All SPCA cats come spayed or neutered and with a free microchip. The Cat Stravaganza goes through the end of August. The time is 7:08. As Governor Rick Perry continues his presidential campaign, some are wondering if he can keep up with his duties as governor. We'll take a look at the juggling act between the job he has and the job he wants. More fallout from a deadly stage collapse as another victim passes away. And the first lawsuits are filed. Plus this. That is not a sight you see every day. What had these nuns doing the wave?